LaVar Arrington, we got some drama. We got some drama with one of the best teams in the NFL.
It's continued drama.
Oh, yeah. Months worth of drama in Buffalo. So here's the situation. I will set it up. We've got some comments, and then we have a reply from an interested party in this whole situation going on in Buffalo. So the Bills mini camp started on Tuesday. Sean McDermott, the head coach, was asked about the absence of Stefon Diggs, who was not there. He said he was, quote, very concerned. And apparently, at that time, the thought was Stefon Diggs did not report to the facility. Now, Diggs' agent said publicly and reported to Adam Schefter that Stefon Diggs, not only was he there early on Tuesday, but he was also there on Monday. The Bills then clarified that Diggs was there but left before practice started. So the whole thing's a mess right off the jump. And then Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, spoke with the media yesterday and gave his thoughts about the weirdness surrounding Stefon Diggs and the playoff game fiasco last year and him not talking to the media afterwards and yelling at Josh Allen after the game, and then the leaving from Bills minicamp and all the other stuff that's come along with it. Here was the Bills quarterback, Josh Allen, yesterday.
Internally, we're working on some things, not football related, but Steph, he's my guy. Excuse my love him. He's a brother of mine. We wish he was in here today and was out there on the field with us, and that's not the case. But I've got his back no matter what. I've got no doubts that we will figure out what's going on, and freaking love him. I can't stress that enough. There's things that I could do better, and to help out with this process and try to get him back here and be the Buffalo Bill that he's meant to be. He's an all-the-way-in dude. I mean, once he's all the way in, he's going to be all the way in, and he's a fiery competitor. And at the end of the day, he wants to win. This team wants to win, and make no mistake about it, he's a Buffalo Bill, and we're going to work it out. I think that there's some things that could have gone better last year and didn't. I think we're just as an organization maybe not communicating the right way with everything. So again, just trying to talk and listen at the same time and hear him out, and like I said, just try to move this forward as quickly and as respectfully as possible.
So Josh Allen from a shooting range in Orchard Park, apparently, with all the background noise.
That was probably sound like the gym, like somebody was doing like
clanging and banging,
Olympic lifts or something to that effect.
That's what you do when you're throwing around that iron now.
Or it could have been a jugs machine. Hey, listen, my translation of that is someone really pissed Stefon Diggs off on that. I want to say coaching staff.
Well, do you want to hear his because Stefon Diggs?
Yes, let's hear the response.
All right, so he posted a message on Instagram last night that said the following, quote, "I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog." And then he went on to say something else that I believe was a meme taken from somebody. But apparently somebody's lying, and he's just letting it happen. And I don't know if Big Dog is referring to Sean McDermott or Brandon Beane or.
Read it one more time.
He said, "I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, Big Dog." That was from Stefon Diggs after all the drama yesterday in Buffalo. Something's going on, dude.
Somebody's not talking the way that Stefon Diggs wants, the way he wants them to be talking. And I've met Stefon before. Now, I was in Maryland while he was at Maryland, and even spoke to the team one time while he was there. Stefon is not the type of personality that wants drama, and I know that might not be what maybe the public persona of it looks like because of the way we saw him leave the playoff game last year, or what's going on now. But he's really not a drama dude, Jonas. Exactly what Allen said. He's an all-in type of guy. He does things with his heart, and so all the way in means all the way in, which means that when you're an all the way in guy, you expect everybody else around you to be all the way in. So somebody isn't saying, they're not talking right. Somebody isn't saying something that isn't right. And the way it sounds, it's not just football. It sounds like this is turned personal.
Yeah.
And the way Allen responded, it's almost like Allen feels as though he could be a facilitator, a mediator of sorts, and he's not doing as great of a job. And I wonder if that pinpoints McDermott or the OC. I really do. It's got to be one of the two, or it's got to be both. But the way it sounds, there has been a souring of a relationship. And a guy like, I will say this, a guy like Stefon Diggs, you can do a lot of things to earn a guy like him his trust. And it takes time to earn that buy-in and that trust from him because he does things with his heart. But it only takes a moment to ruin the trust. It takes time to build it, but it only takes a moment to ruin it. And I don't know if Stefon Diggs is one of those. I don't know him well enough to know if he's one of those guys that can bounce back if that's indeed the case. Now, I'm speculating, but just reading between the lines of what Allen said, what Diggs' post said, somebody said something to him that they shouldn't have said. And maybe it was a buildup. Maybe it was something that was ongoing, and it just kind of came to a head in the game. He didn't get very many targets in that loss that they had in the playoffs, if my recollection serves me correctly. Who did they play in the first round of the playoffs?
It was Cincinnati. Well, they played Miami the first round, and that was a much closer game. They were playing a backup quarterback, and then they played Cincinnati and just got waxed by the Bengals at home. And
what was his numbers in that game? Do we remember?
I remember last year he started off hot. Like he was on pace for the first 9 games to have the best season of his career, and then he really tapered off late in the year. And he
got 4 balls thrown his way for 35 yards.
I mean, listen, that's 5 more than me. So he can bitch all he wants, but at least he got some balls thrown his way. I didn't get anything.
You know what? Everybody doesn't deserve to be able to get balls thrown their way and then catch them. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
I'll let you and Stefon worry about that one in that regard. But I will say you do not play professional football.
That's
so
fair.
That is quite the difference in terms of comparison if we're going to go that deep into it. But
that's fair. A more eloquent way to say you never played the game.
You never played at that level. Hey, but here's the thing. You don't have to look very far at that position to know that the greats want the ball.
Yeah.
They want the ball, and they will get irate if they're not getting the ball. You're in the biggest game of the year, of the season, against an emerging power in the Cincinnati Bengals, who happen to have a guy that is considered to be one of the most elite receivers in the game in Jamar Chase. This was clearly, and for what it's worth, they have a few other guys on Cincinnati that could be considered to be elite as well. You're talking about a guy who's ultra competitive, that wants to show up, that wants to be able to have those moments. If you see the way he works out and he trains in the offseason, his workout regimen is sick. It's pretty crazy. So you put in all that time and you put in all that work. You know what you want to do? You know what you want to be, Jonas? You want to be recognized for how well you play the game. You want to be in those big moments. That's how you build a career. That's how you move towards having a Hall of Fame career. When you're on stages as big as that, you want to have the ball in your hands, and he did not. 35 yards, four receptions.
Yeah,
that's no good.
And to your point on something must have been said, and he takes it to heart. He's probably a pretty sensitive guy, and that's still bothering him all these months later. Whenever it happened last year, it kind of has a Rodgers vibe to it, right? Like
it does.
Rodgers, where he never was able to get over the miscommunication and whatever was, talked about or not talked about when it came to drafting Jordan Love, and then just sort of the distance that was between him and Brian Gutekunst, and and everybody else in Green Bay in the front office. He was never able to get over that, and that stuck with him for a while because, look, it would be easy to say, well, Stefon Diggs just wants to get paid. He wants money. Dude, he just signed an extension last offseason.
Yeah, that's not it.
Like, there's more to it.
This is personal.
Yeah,
this is personal.
I totally agree.
This sounds personal. And again, this is speculation, but it's not hard to speculate when emotions are involved and when they're running high. It's just more or less what is it, like pinpointing who it is.
Yeah.
But if Josh Allen feels as though he could do more to help the situation, it sounds like this is something that has been escalating. Maybe this is something that has taken place, the exchanges in the meeting room, different things like that, how they're communicating on the field. When you end up having numbers that low, maybe Josh Allen's way of saying he could have helped is he could have targeted Stefon Diggs more. He could have got him more involved in the offense. But, the high was, I think, 5 in that game. Somebody got 5 catches in that game. Like, that's trash. In a big game like that, a playoff game, you're talking about guys should have like 8 to double digits of receptions, and they should be approaching the century mark, if not more. That's what you want to see out of your franchise player at the receiver position, especially after we had such a long, drawn-out conversation about the devaluing of the running backs position. Well, you know what position has gone up in value, tremendous value? The receivers position. You know who has been very, very much maligned on how they finish out in the playoffs outside of just their slugouts that the game they had against Cincy the year before. You sit there, or was it Cincy or was it Kansas City? It's Kansas City. You look at the potential of where this Buffalo Bills team has been going, and yet they still continue to do what the Buffalo Bills have always done, come up short. Even if they've made it to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, they come up short. So you're talking about a franchise that gets a lot of static because they can't make it out of the big game in the playoffs. And to me, this just seems like they weren't calling his number, Jonas. And how do you not call that man's number? He's the best player on your team outside of Allen. How are you not calling his number? And so if you're not calling his number, I can guarantee you that is probably there's some type of retaliation, some type of hard feeling that's connected to the person that's calling the plays.
There is somebody to blame in all this, and we can point fingers at Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, and we can but the fact of the matter is there's somebody who's at fault for all of this, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the Cincinnati Bengals in that playoff game, they took the hype, they took the hopes, and they took the soul of the Buffalo Bills with them.
Dang.
And
all
it is
of that.
over.
Soul snatchers.
I mean, think about it. Like, not only the Stefon Diggs stuff, Leslie Frazier just walks away mysteriously. We don't really have any sort of understanding as to what happened. He's just like, I'm just going to take some time away. Man, if you're on a team that's a legitimate Super Bowl contender and you're on the doorstep of a Super Bowl you've been waiting for 30-something years, I don't know that I'm walking away. And if I'm Stefon Diggs, I don't know that I'm walking away. And it seemed like everything happened in that playoff game. Like Cincinnati,
I think it came to a head. It definitely came to a head in that game.
Cincinnati did something to that organization in that playoff game, and it feels like, and you and I have been talking about this for a while, I think this little window, I think it may be closed for the Bills. Like, because I look at them as a clear number 3 behind Cincinnati and Kansas City in the AFC. I think that game led to a lot of this stuff. And now you got Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen feuding, and those guys were apparently really, really close at one point. So, if you believe any of that.